cannot buy right now. All right, it's a very important topic for you and I, to understand what this is about, because many persons have heard inflation, inflation, inflation. So now you're getting a better understanding of what inflation is all about. All right, pretty soon, just a couple of minutes from now, we'll go on a quick commercial. And when we return, we'll be looking at why inflation in Nigeria. Why and what are the reasons why we have inflation going on in Nigeria? We'll tell you more about that when we return.
At DSAG Engineering and Services, we anticipate, manage, and deliver. Since 2000, we have been a leading EPC company, ensuring customer satisfaction through quality service and timely delivery. With integrity, proficiency, and innovation at our core, we provide world-class solutions tailored to your needs. From engineering designs and construction to procurement, manpower outsourcing, and maritime supplies, DSAG delivers excellence. Partner with us today. Visit www.dsag.net or call +23 4807 254 8724. DSAG Engineering and Services, anticipate, manage, deliver.
All right, welcome back from that break. And before we went on that break, we said we're going to be looking at the causes of inflation in Nigeria. Now, we have been talking, we're trying to get to the meaning of inflation, what inflation means, and I hope we've been able to deal with that. But let's go into the in-court flesh of this particular topic now. And this will give you some better insight about what inflation is all about. So, like anything that happens in life, they just don't happen accidentally. There are reasons why things happen. So in Nigeria, there are basically four major reasons, or very specific reasons, why inflation comes to the fore. One of them is too much circulation of money in, and of course, too very few goods being purchased by this too much money in circulation. Yes, too much money chasing too few goods, simply put. So when money is in circulation, but goods are not increasing, definitely prices will increase. Now, that's some form of economic laws. We don't want to go into that so that everybody will understand, but that's one thing when it comes to demand and supply, the laws of demand and supply. So again, when money is so much in circulation and few goods are available for that money to buy, then definitely prices will go up. Now, according to the Central Bank of Nigeria statistics released recently, currency circulation and demand deposits rose from 122.94 trillion naira. That was as at November 2025. It rose to 124.4 trillion naira as at the end of December 2025. So you can see that there was a sort of increase, about 2.90 trillion naira increase in the circulation of money and demand deposits. Let's look at the graphics we have before us, trying to explain the too much money and too few goods, because you can see that many people are chasing few food items. Okay, so the let's should I go on with the second cause now, the second reason? But definitely, for you to understand something, is that where we have so much money in the economy, cash liquid as it's called, like I said, I'll go into those terminologies, but when we have so much cash in circulation and demand deposits, I don't want to go there, but you know, for you to grasp what I'm trying to say, when you have so much circulation, so much money in circulation, and it becomes few goods with us, available in the market, then the sellers will want to increase the prices of such goods. All right, let's go to the second reason. Like I said, there are 4 in number. The second reason is high cost of production. High cost of production. Now, let's look at it. When fuel prices increase, when electricity is unstable, when transport costs increase, definitely you as a business owner would not want to, share or take the burden of these things I just mentioned. I will explain better. But you definitely would not add these factors in your business. You will not add them to what you are producing, to the price of what you are producing. So because no business wants to sell at a loss. So these burdens will now be passed on because fuel, electricity, transport, these are part of your production. These are part of your production. And so the cost of having these available for your production, you want to add them to the price of what you are producing. Okay, so get that understanding. And no businesses will now say, okay, because there's hike in fuel, there's electricity tariff that is so high most times, and of course electricity is even unstable, but then the electricity tariff is high because it's unstable. You buy fuel to run your generating sets, and then transport costs increase. You now say you want to bear the burden as a businessman. You will not make profit, and that's why I said no business wants to run at a loss. So you see on the screen, fuel goes up, electricity goes up, is not even available in the first place, transport fare goes up, definitely the prices of that particular product will go up. All right, let's look at another reason why there is inflation in Nigeria. This one is on exchange rate. That's a very, very major factor when it comes to inflation. Now, Nigeria imports a lot, food, fuel, machines, raw materials. We import a lot, and all of these, like in one of the episodes I said, why fuel? Why do we even import fuel? Well, because we do not have enough refineries to refine oil to now give us the various products that would come out of the crude oil when it's refined. So Nigeria imports a lot of food, no doubt about that. One very good example of food item that Nigeria imports a lot is rice. There's fuel, there's machines, because we do not produce machineries here. Those, and so we'll have to import a whole lot of them. And then raw materials for to do our businesses, we also import this. So we talked about the Naira, the currency recently. So when the Naira weakens, and it happens a lot during inflation, when the Naira weakens, your imports, we said this before, your imports become expensive, okay, and inflation rises. So your weak Naira will not exchange for dollars which you use in your business for the importation of your goods, and as a result, those prices of imports will now cost more. I mean, those imports will now be very expensive, will now cost more, and that's when inflation arises as well. So inflation will not be at the state or the level it was. It will now increase. So the data from the CBN shows recently that the Naira recorded marginal losses recently, despite a softer dollar globally. I mean, the dollar was, became soft in the market terms recently, but even at that, recently the CBN made us to understand that the Naira got weakened, and it closed at the third week of January at 1,021 Naira 90 kobo. That was the exchange rate for the dollar. So let's look at the then and now when it comes to some items, when it relates to exchange rates. Now you look at before now, the Naira was stronger in the exchange for the dollar, and then we had lower import costs as a result, because when you now trade your business, when you now do your business, it now looks like you are buying on a cheap. But right now, like I just said recently, the CBN that was released not quite long showed that the Naira, so the exchange rate was really, really not favorable for the Nigerian market. And as a result, we have higher import costs. So whatever you are importing, definitely the cost went up. And then the last but not the least, the factor or reason why we have inflation in Nigeria is supply disruption. Now, there are different shocks when it comes to the supply chain in Nigeria. We have insecurity, we have flooding, we have bad roads, and of course, global crisis economically reduce supply. And when goods are scarce, because when there's supply disruption, definitely there's scarcity of that goods. And so when these goods are scarce, prices definitely go up. That is the law of demand and supply. Okay, so when goods are scarce, definitely prices will shoot up. It's just simple economics. I don't know if you are what we have been talking about. Again, just for you to understand, 4 factors. We picked these ones. There are other factors, but we just picked these few factors for you to understand what inflation is all about. The first factor why there's inflation in Nigeria, like we talked about, is we have too much money chasing very few goods, very few goods. And of course, the other factor was the high cost of production. Definitely, as a business owner, you don't want to accumulate all those costs and enjoy almost like a freebie and you running at a loss, because like I said, no business owner will want to go into business to make losses, rather make profit. And the other reason we gave was exchange rate. Now this exchange rate has been very, very volatile, has been very, very unstable, and we gave you just an instance where the CBN recently showed us that the Naira, marginally recently, and when it comes to foreign exchange, it's not really good for business owners who do importation and of course exportation. And we gave instances of how these things work when we have low or weak Naira, as it were, because it will affect import, of course, when you want to bring in inputs from abroad. And the last one we just talked about is the supply disruption. I mean, where we have shocks in supply of goods. Take a look from fact, some of the factors brought out under supply disruption. One of them was insecurity. We look at what's going on in Nigeria as it is right now. The volatile areas, in those particular areas in Nigeria, the northeast, some part of the north region, and of course that when these things happen, farmers who are in the agricultural sector hardly go to the farms, and when that happens, supply the scarcity of agricultural produce, and then natural disaster in the form of flooding. When flood happens, we saw it not quite long. I think we saw some last year. It also affects supply as well. All right, so I hope you're getting the drift right now, what inflation is all about. When we come back, because we'll go for a short break right now, we'll look at how inflation affects you, your job, and your business. Stay with us.
At DSAG Engineering and Services, we anticipate, manage, and deliver. Since 2000, we have been a leading EPC company, ensuring customer satisfaction through quality service and timely delivery. With integrity, proficiency, and innovation at our core, we provide world-class solutions tailored to your needs. From engineering designs and construction to procurement, manpower outsourcing, and maritime supplies, DSAG delivers excellence. Partner with us today. Visit www.dsag.net or call +23 4807 254. DSAG Engineering and Services. Anticipate, manage, deliver.
Well, welcome back, and so super excited to know that you are still with us. And just a reminder that we are looking at inflation. What is this word inflation? Okay, so before we went on that breather, we said we're going to be looking at how inflation affects you and I, our job, and of course, those of us who are in business. Well, I just mentioned different aspects right now because inflation truly hits different people in different ways. But one group that feels it most, I said it, I think when we just started, the one group that inflation hits the most is the ordinary Nigerians. The ordinary Nigerians. If you earn a fixed salary, for workers, who earn fixed salary, inflation is your silent enemy. This is one line that we kept, kept talking about. It is your silent enemy, inflation, especially when you are a fixed earner, when your salary is fixed. Okay, so but let's look now what we have on the screen right now. That will be displayed on your screen. Who suffers most from inflation? I just said fixed salaries earners, yeah. So salary earners are one of those who are most affected by inflation. Yes, because salary earners over time their salaries remain the same for a pretty long time before you get to talk about promotion. You get to talk about increase in your salary. So you as a salary earner, you are one of those mostly affected by inflation. You know why? Because as your salary remains in one place for a pretty long time, let's say in your space of operation, you have every 4 years before salaries are reviewed, or your salaries get to increase. In that 4 years, inflation must have hit you several times. Okay, the inflation must have risen, dropped, because that's how it is, very unstable. And yes, that's why I said you as a salary earner, you are one of those who are mostly hit, because as it increases, as inflation happens to you, your salary remains intact for the next 5 years. But then what that salary was buying before now could not buy again before your next salary review. Right. Still on that particular slide, you could see market traders are another, set of people that inflation hits the hardest, in the sense that they go into the market space, they get their goods from their major suppliers, get to the market, and then sells. Then, for those who are supposed to come do business with them, they just cannot come do business with them because, the volume of what they used to buy, it's not like they cannot do business with them, but the volume of what they used to buy will not be the same volume that they used to buy. Okay, right now they cannot buy the same volume that they were buying before. Talking about the salary earners, especially people that want to go to the local market and to meet market traders. Same goes for small businesses. They are also one of the hardest when it comes to inflation. They are one of the modest, one of the set of persons that inflation hits the hardest. And then pensioners. Pensioners is just like into salary earners. In fact, theirs is even almost worse because there's no increase over time of their pension. Okay, so they just live by sucks a lot of money from their pocket. All right, so you can see the worker trader, SMEs, and of course retiree. The retirees are under the pensioners that I just talked about. So if you earn a fixed salary, inflation quietly, that's what I've been saying. Inflation quietly, reduces your standard of living. It reduces your standard of living, you know, because your salary is fixed. Like the instance of maybe you as a worker in your workspace, your salary is reviewed every 4 years, and definitely your standard of living would definitely drop because your income stays the same. Your income stays the same. Um, but food costs more, yeah, more, and transport costs more because you're still looking at probably you're on a salary of about 100K, 100,000 a month, and over the next 4 years, that's how the salary. But there's definitely transport will increase, and it's still on that salary. Food items will definitely increase, will still be on that salary, and of course your rent will definitely be increased by the property now, the landlord, as it were, and of course you cannot save. You cannot save. That's what now happens to you. Savings just disappears, suffers a lot. So money kept in cash loses uh, value, every day when inflation is high. All right. So when inflation, goes up, definitely the money in your hand is almost like is valueless. You know, the money that you keep in your possession is almost like value because of inflation. All right. So also for a look at small businesses now, we're looking at the home front. All right. Let's look at small businesses. What inflation does to small businesses. They are the next in line anyway for those who are most affected after those guys I talked about, the small businesses and of course pensioners. So for small businesses, inflation means unstable prices. That's what inflation means to the fore for small businesses. The prices would never remain the same. It will always be going up and down, up and down. I'm even referring to, it's not like it's coming to the original price of how it used to be. For instance, some years ago, just a few years ago, I think before President Bola Tinubu became president, we know how much about it was. Okay, so when he came over board, the price of rice went shot up, and for some time, I think sometime last year, the price of the bag of rice dropped. Okay, now when I say dropped, when you compare to what the amount it dropped to, and that same the same bag of rice, how much it was before he became president, you'll see that it's really a drop. Okay, let's assume a bag of rice then before he became president was let's say 30,000 naira, and when president it's all assumption now. I don't want to go to correct figures. I want you to understand where I'm coming from. So before he became president, let's assume it was 30,000 naira to a bag of rice. And then when he became president, a few months later, bag of rice was like 100K, 100,000 naira. All right. Now, few years later, let's say about 2 years later, after he became president, the bag of rice now went to 70,000 naira. So that's the cheapest in his administration, from 100,000 when he became president, for instance, and then 2 years later it became 70,000 naira. So there's a price reduction, or the price of that particular goods has dropped. When you compare the price 100,000 and 70,000 naira, it's 30,000 naira drop. Now compare this 30,000 naira drop, the 70,000 naira that it is, let's say at the present, and compared to when he became president, when it was 30,000 naira. Would you say that there is a price drop? All right, you get where I'm coming from. So unstable prices for small businesses, and then reduced profit, because where there is instability, pricing of goods, definitely your profit would not be on the rise, like constantly, on the rise, but instead it will hit, it will go like up today, tomorrow it will reduce, to just like that, up and down. It's even in unstable your profit, but definitely when you want to look at when you were doing business a couple of years ago and now, you say that your profit has reduced. All right, and in this same space for small businesses, you could see that customers are buying less. Like I said, your price, your salary is not increasing, it's still there, and the prices of goods are increasing. So what you have to do is, like they used to say, cut your cloth according to what? Okay, you get it. So that's the harsh reality of how works. I mean, inflation works for small businesses. All right, so let's look at the graphics before us again, and you will get to understand the before and now on business reality. Okay, you'll see that before on the left, you say is that we had stable costs, okay, and predictable profit. Now, this for businesses. We have stable cost or stable prices for the goods that they want to sell to the customers, to the consumers, and then they had predictable profit. They could predict that, okay, at the end of the first quarter of the year, my profit margin will be at so percent. You know, it was very predictable. But now look at it, rising costs of doing business. Before they had stable cost of doing business, and then even when they pass the bulk, the burden to the pricing of the goods, they still make some, number of good profits. But right now,